This past week I was asked, do you have any tips for getting a shot where you can see enough of the detail of someone holding a match or lighter while still allowing it to look like a small flame is doing the lighting? First of all, thank you, Anthony, for the question, and that has been something that I've really been thinking about since I saw the question posted. Just trying to think of some different techniques, how to accomplish that. I guess there are a couple things that come to mind. One is the flame itself from the lighter or match in the frame, because if it's in frame, I feel it gets a little more complicated. If it's not in the frame, you have a lot more options that you can work with. Let's get into this. Let's turn off the key light and we'll see what this looks like with just the lighter being used for the lighting. So there are a few variables. One, the flicker of the flame, and also make sure to keep the light consistent with the position of the lighter so that your shadows are consistent. The first way to do this that came to mind was using an Aperture MC, and I feel like these are really my go-to lights for a lot of these types of situations where you need some kind of accent lighting or some type of effects. The Aperture MC comes preloaded with a fire effect built in. So let me kill this key light again and we'll be able to see what that looks like. That right there is at 50% intensity, so let's dial that back because we don't have a bonfire, it's just a lighter or match in front of us. That right there is at 5% intensity, and I think that looks pretty good. The only thing is, first of all, it's in frame, and second of all, we're not quite getting as much flicker as we would with an actual flame. So what I'm gonna have to do to back this up out of frame is raise the intensity with that. So let's take it back far enough that it's out of frame. And right now we're at 14% intensity, which I think that matches pretty well to the actual flame look that we're getting. So what I'm going to do is mount this on a stand using some small rig clamps and friction arms, just so it's in the right position so we don't have to hold this light. So that right there I think is pretty believable, other than the fact that it is spilling onto my hand here. So what we would actually need to do, we would definitely need to cut that light with a flag kind of down here. So let me get something to cut that. I think that looks pretty good using the Aperture MC being cut down at the bottom to get rid of that extra light that was on my hand. So let me compare those two for a minute. That would be the first technique that I would try. From there, let's try to move on to something a little different, maybe a little bit more of a DIY approach to this. The second thing I'm going to try is just using one of these can lights that you can get from Lowe's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight, any of the home improvement stores. What my thought is with this, I'm going to angle it away from myself, and then I'm going to use a reflector to kind of bounce the light back into my face. It'll be a little bit of a softer light, and we'll also be able to adjust the amount of flicker that we're getting. So I'm just going to put this on a light stand here. Maybe pull that back a little bit. This is the setup with the can light, and it's just bouncing off of the wall over there. So we're getting that nice red glow, but we're not getting any of the flicker that you would with the actual flame. So what I'm going to try is to use a piece of aluminum foil and just kind of bounce that back. I think with the foil being wrinkled, I think it's going to give us a little bit of texture, and we'll be able to kind of move it around a little bit. So let's give that a shot. That's still a little bit strong, and this is something difficult to do by yourself. It would be ideal to have someone extra to actually hold this foil here while you light the lighter. And I think that's a pretty decent look right there. And it really gives you the ability to adjust the angle to get that flicker. Those were the two ideas that I had as far as replicating the light that you would get off of a lighter or a match. I'm sure there are a number of other ways that you could do that. Those were just the two that kind of came to mind as I was thinking about this. The more expensive version obviously is using the Aperture MC. Those lights are around $90. They're very convenient in situations like this. I think the cheaper option worked just as well in this scenario. It's just a little more difficult to kind of do it all by yourself. If you have any other ideas, feel free to leave it in the comments, because I would like to see some other ideas that people have, how they would approach something like this. I want to thank Anthony for the question, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or reach out to me on Instagram @TheGunnerStorm. I would love to connect with you on there, so hit me up.